Today's big announcement is that I, Andrew Erickson, will be quitting YouTube. No, sorry, that's not it. I just couldn't help but mess with you. The reason why the set may look and sound a little bit differently is because this is not the same set at all. We moved again, that's right. Just about 2 months after we did our house tour, we decided, you know what, this house ain't good enough for us. Did we switch to a bigger house or a house with super fast Wi-Fi or something like that? No, house is about the same size, but there's one very, very big difference this time. The big difference is we own it. This is our house that we bought. And a lot of people who may not know about purchasing real estate may be very confused by this. Drew, why did you guys buy a house? I mean, a Tesla Model 3 is way cheaper. You could have just bought one of those. I mean, you have the Apple Card now. This should be very, very simple to understand. Well, in today's announcement, I'll be diving into the explanation, some of the benefits we have now that we bought our own house, and as to why we did this instead of a million other things you guys probably wanted us to buy. Like, of course, a red camera, or several Tesla Model 3s. Now that you guys know we're able to buy things that are far more expensive than the iMac Pro, which for the longest time that was the most expensive thing I ever bought. Yeah, the house takes the lead on this one. But anywho, here's the main reason we bought a house. It's because ever since we moved out of the 2X office, our main goal is to see that every dollar we make between me and my wife, how can we make sure we keep that dollar and have it work for us in the best way possible? The beauty in buying real estate is, in regards to a return on your purchase, it's one of the best investments you can actually make. Sure, there's other things like the stock market, which you can invest in, and as long as you play the long game, you generally will see money come back to you if you want to sell your stocks way down the road. If you're trying to find like an instant return on your investment, both real estate and the stock market probably aren't going to give you that instant gratification, but similar to the stock market, if you play the long game and you purchase it and you hold on to it for a long, long time, there's several different ways you can make money back on it. With real estate, I think my favorite part about it is it's not just a stock. It's not just, you know, knowledge of ownership in part of a company. It's not just like, hey, I own stocks. The house, you actually get something that you can utilize and have be a part of your daily life while it is also appreciating in value. It is not like a Tesla. It is not like an iPhone where you buy it and then over time it depreciates in value. These are things we call liabilities. These are things that decrease in value over time, which means that if you want to sell your iPhone a year after you bought it or sell your Model 3 5 years after you bought it, it is without question always almost every single time going to be cheaper than it was when you bought it because it is now in used condition. Real estate is usually not the same way. There are some instances, of course, where real estate can crash. We had a huge incident called the recession in 2008 that for several years caused a lot of property values to go down, which would be a bad time to sell, but for the most part, if you're playing the long game with real estate investing, that means that your house is going to increase in value over time. Just in the 20 years that my parents owned their house that I grew up and lived in, I won't go into the specifics with you, but it was essentially worth about 3 times as much as they paid for it by the time they sold it, which means that, like most people, yes, we do have a mortgage, though we did a pretty sizable down payment on this house because it's not huge, it's not extravagant, it's a simple home for 2 people, but we made sure to buy a house that's within our means so that we'll be able to pay it off likely in under 5 years, opposed to some people out there who want to get their dream home and therefore accept like a 30-year mortgage, which if you just want to buy one home, that can be okay because while there is interest on a loan and you're putting money monthly into a property, over time that property is going to increase in value, generally, as long as you're playing the long game. If you're hoping to buy a property, hold on to it for a year and then sell it again, chances are you're likely not going to make much money. But me and my wife were kind of just tired of paying rent on the house we were currently at when we had enough money saved up that we could put a huge down payment on a house so that our mortgage month to month is really not that much more than our rent was. And the beauty of paying off a mortgage is it's something you get to keep at the end. It's something that you own outright. These walls behind me, I'm not borrowing them anymore. That ceiling, that belongs to me now. I'm not borrowing that from someone else and paying them to have access to this room or these walls or this floor. Everything gets to be officially mine, and this is also not our permanent home. Just like the last house we stayed at, we told you lots and lots of times we had no plans on staying there forever. Once again, it's sort of a similar situation here. Once we're ready and comfortable and we've saved up enough money again, then we will likely buy a bigger house or just a second property that we intend on renting out, because for one, you're owning a property that increases in value over time, as the real estate market will generally go up in value over time, while simultaneously you can rent it out to others and therefore generate passive income in the process. A lot of YouTubers know about this, but a lot of people don't, which is why I'm explaining it in today's video. And this just gives us so many options leading out, because now instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars a year on rent at our last house, which all of that money we're putting into rent, we don't get back. That's money gone. We don't get any of that in return. All we get was a place to live for a month. But thousands of dollars down the drain, now we're spending that same thousands of dollars every single year on this property, which at the end of the mortgage we get to keep. Or if before we even finish paying off our mortgage, we find a better house or a different house that we want to buy, we can rent out this one and move out of it while the value of the house continues to go up. Or by buying another property and renting it out, that tenant, the one who is paying us every single month to live there, is actually paying off the mortgage, which means that after a huge amount of paperwork and after a pretty hefty down payment, you're generating passive income off of that property or this property, depending on what we do next. So making sure we get the most out of our investments was the main reason we purchased this house. And to those of you confused out there, or to those of you who are wondering, I still don't understand, why didn't they just buy the Tesla Model 3? Believe me, it took a while for me to understand why this was the better move, but I am completely convinced, and frankly, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't do this sooner, because it's much better investment than rent is, which gives you nothing in return, and in the long run, we're going to be generating more passive income, plus own properties that increase in value over time, so that even if one day we decide to sell it, we're going to get much more money back than what we originally put into it. So that, I hope, gives you all some answers as to why Drew hasn't been as active across all the channels lately. Also, it's partly because I've been gone for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, I flew to the Philippines and back, which collectively is around halfway around the world. I vlogged that trip. I'm working on the vlog right now. I have a lot of footage to sort through, so probably in a couple weeks you'll see that vlog and you can see where I was staying and what it looked like in the Philippines, and we'll go into all the details later. But also, a month before we went to the Philippines, I was making videos in advance so that the tech channel could still stay active while I was away. And two, we were also looking at houses we wanted to buy, which takes a lot of time, and once you decide you want to buy a property, which we did, there is so much paperwork you have to go through. We moved everything from a rental to the property we now own in about 2 days. We moved literally everything, which we haven't really done before. We've moved my office to my house, and we moved my wife to the last house we had, but those were at 2 separate times. This time we were moving all of my wife's things and all of my things simultaneously into one property, and I have to send a special shout out to all my family members, and I'm so incredibly grateful for them being able to help us move. And yesterday I essentially had to set everything up by myself, between the desk, the soundproofing, the iPhone boxes, and yesterday I called the garbage service, the power service, the water company, and got the Wi-Fi installed, all within like a 12-hour block. And I know what some of you are thinking. They're like, well, Drew thinks buying a house is so easy. Wait till he sees the price of insurance and all these things he didn't have to pay for before. Trust me, we've done the math. We're not being stupid about this one. We know of all the extra expenses. We do heavy budgeting in this household. We know all the extra things we're paying for when you become a homeowner, and even if you combine all of those extra things we have to pay for, it's still less money than the rent was. Plus, the money we're putting into the house gets to come back via renting it out to someone or selling the house way down the line, and it will most likely be more valuable than it was today. So tech videos are of course coming back. All the videos, all the channels should be active soon, but also forgive me because if you couldn't tell by my voice in this video, I'm still very sick. Once I got back from the Philippines, I was incredibly jet lagged and I've been coughing like crazy. You can't see it, but I'm cutting out all of the coughing in this video. I'm coughing a lot right now. Sinuses are all clogged up. I don't feel great, but I'm very excited to make this announcement. And I also wanted to say I'm glad to be back. I wasn't burnt out at all at making videos. I was mostly just burnt out on all of the extra stuff I've been doing between moving and managing a property and buying a property and going through all the paperwork. And this is our first house, you guys. This is a lot of work. It's worth it in the end, but it does definitely take a ton of time out of your schedule. And unlike a lot of the content you guys are used to seeing from the Tailosive Network, until now you don't really get to see what I'm working on. So it was like 2 months of a lot of time and a lot of effort put towards other things that you guys don't get to see right away. Now you get to see it, and I'll be happy to show you the rest of the house later. For now, here's a little sneak peek. Still setting up the office. Still working on the living room. Still working on the kitchen. Though the office has carpet now, which is much better for soundproofing. We still have a lot of stuff to put away. Trust me, we'll do another office tour, we'll do another house tour, and then probably move in 2 months again. No, I think we'll be at this place a little bit longer than the rental. It won't be like a matter of a couple months. It'll will actually be like a couple years, but once again, full disclosure, we're not staying here forever either. Anyway, if you guys want to ask questions about the purchase or about my trip to the Philippines, and you guys want to chat, we're going to be doing a live stream just right after this video goes live, so stay tuned for that, and I'll gladly talk to all of you, because it is great to be back, and I can't wait to hear from all of you again. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day. See you soon.